It would have appeared unthinkable less than a year ago that the German state would be supplying armaments in a fight. Nonetheless, the Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, is under increasing international pressure to give the go-ahead for German-made tanks to be transported to Ukraine, having cautiously signaled his willingness to do so. But only if the US agrees to do the same. Despite its reluctance to share the message, Germany is one of Ukraine's most ardent backers in terms of defense, humanitarian, and economic assistance. It has provided refuge to hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians, a little publicized part of its assistance. Its policy shift on Russian gas, from which German industry profited for so long and from which it has weaned itself in record time, even as it has launched a new brown coal open-cast mine and prolonged the life of 3 nuclear power reactors, demonstrates Germany's ability to make speedy U-turns. Scholz has made it obvious that he wants to shield Germany from being accused of going it alone. Since the beginning of the invasion, he has consistently stated that Germany will only commit to increased military help if other countries do the same. Ukraine has often stated that tanks are required to provide its troops with the mobility firepower required to push out Russian troops. Scholz said in a speech to the World Economic Forum in Davos on Wednesday that Germany would continue, together with our allies, to send huge quantities of weaponry. He went on to detail the precise items Germany had already given, such as anti-aircraft systems, artillery cannons, and armored personnel carriers, describing it as part of a deep and widespread sea change in German foreign and security policy. Despite being pressed repeatedly, he refused to answer to Ukraine's request for Leopard 2 tanks. Former head of the Munich Security Conference Wolfgang Ischinger cautioned Scholz that he risked isolating Germany. The entire world is waiting for Germany, with or without the United States, to give the green light, he told DLF. Observers believe that, while the Scholz government's message on arms to Ukraine has frequently appeared ambiguous, the fact that Germany has so far committed to the effort in a way that would have seemed almost unthinkable before the invasion is a strong indication that it will soon say yes to the tanks. It remains morally trapped, on the one hand by the haunting fact that continues to horrify many Germans that under the Nazis, it was fighting on Ukrainian soil against ancestors of the very people it now wants to protect, and on the other by the fact that it owes Ukraine more than any other country as a direct result of that war. Scholz's problem has been to communicate domestically, particularly the need to protect Ukrainians. Even as he thinks that upgrading to contribute fighter tanks may lead to an escalation of the conflict, with Germany identified as the aggressor. Meanwhile, critics remind out that Germany's defense sector has profited billions by selling lethal weapons to dubious regimes around the world. In this context, they argue, its reluctance to supply a nascent democracy on its doorstep with the ability to protect itself against Russian aggression in the form of its best-selling Leopard is ludicrous. According to a Süddeutsche Zeitung editorial, Scholz could be expected to deliver the tanks, noting that it was in his nature to postpone choices until there was no other option. It sympathized with his hesitation. It is far from certain that Russia's president, Vladimir Putin, would continue to take the fact that NATO states are increasingly involved in the battle on the chin. Could he consider using nuclear bombs if he believes he is at a standstill? No one can rule out this possibility, it stated. It stated Scholz would have no choice but to provide the tanks because of his vow to assist Kyiv till the war is done, and the undeniable truth that tanks would help Ukraine repel Putin's army attacks. He will jump through the hoop, simply too late for many who have been holding it up for him for months, wrote the newspaper. During a Bundestag debate on the future of arms to Ukraine on Thursday, Ralph Stegner of the Social Democrats defended Scholz. What some labeled hesitation was in truth sensible leadership, he claimed. While one member of the conservative CDU warned history was in danger of remembering the present German government as being most efficient as a break bloc.